It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
2 weeks ago, sat down and looked at our picks and said what would be the best case scenario, and these were the two guys we really wanted. So we feel very fortunate, very excited to have them in the family. We hope they're really good at basketball. I mean, they got a lot of talent. They each can do different things, but both of them are very good shooters and scorers, and we hope that they develop and learn our system very quickly. But, you know, we understand it's a process with young guys. Over the next couple years, we hope they can become really important pieces of our future.
Utah Jazz draft the Rutgers freshman Ace Bailey with the 5th pick. They trade up 3 spots to get Walter Clayton Jr. at 18 and PK, according to Austin Ainge, dream scenario. There it is. Got the guys they wanted.
I think the rookie brought in a couple of nice rookies.
I see what you did there.
I told him that last night.
And did he giggle?
Hey, good work, rookie.
Good work.
Well, this is what you put in the work for, and now you see how it develops. I mean, there's no guarantees either way. I mean, who had the best draft? You know, the Jazz are in the running. I actually think the Mavericks had the best draft.
Because they got Cooper Flag.
Yeah. I mean, when Cleveland drafted LeBron, they had the best draft. And so, you get that star caliber of player, that's who it ends up being. But a lot of times, and in this case, for Jazz perspective, it is now up to these young men to go to work. I mean, I don't care about this stuff that Ace Bailey doesn't want to be here. I would rather be in Maui today, too.
I don't want to be here.
Not a question of I don't want to be here.
You'd rather be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the palm trees waving in the breeze and you getting ready to play 18 or 36, depending on your mood.
In my back. And so here, guys, you're here, Ace. Now, what are you going to show the league? This is the team that's going to pay you millions, so what can you do? And if you would have looked back and thought on May 12th, whenever it was, when it was disappointing to get 5th, if you would have thought, we get Ace Bailey and Clayton, you would have felt, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. And Clayton's a big shot kid. He showed that, and I don't know how you can ask for more, but that doesn't mean anything. Now it's go develop, you know. What are you gonna do today? I mean, you're flying out to town, so today's probably not a good day, but you get the point. When this hubbub stops and it's time to work, what are you gonna do? I'm talking about to these young men. This is your job now, and what do you got inside? What's gonna burn for you to be the best you can be? And we'll see how it develops. But on paper, it looks pretty good.
We can go over the pluses and minuses with both guys, but everybody's got pluses and minuses with the possible exception of Cooper Flag. And after that, how hard do you work to fill in the gaps, whether it's turnovers, it's defense, your team didn't win enough, all the negatives. But what they have in common is they both got a reputation for scoring. Ace Bailey for hitting really tough shots, and Walter Clayton Jr. for leading the NCAA champs in scoring and scoring a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, and hitting big shots and acting like he had no fear. This is a kid who was recruited and had scholarship offers as a quarterback at the likes of Miami. And he goes to Iona in basketball. And then with Pitino, he could have gone, he didn't choose to go to St. John's, chose to go to Florida. So it's funny, we're looking at, he's 22, he's way more mature. But compared to these other guys he is, we've all seen Ace Bailey play a million times because I thought the Jazz were going to get a top pick, and Rutgers being their games on the East Coast is much earlier here, at 5. I watched them play. I probably saw Rutgers play 20 times, which if I wouldn't have added up Rutgers.
In your life. Yeah. In your life.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
But this was about this year, so... and maybe some other teams were scared off by his attitude and didn't want to work out and whatnot. Okay. And all of that stuff you take into consideration. But what's it going to be, Ace Bailey? And get with guys here in Carlos Boozer. I said this last night when I was doing the radio, when we were doing the draft show. So get with Carlos. He's in town. He'll tell you about Utah. None of that stuff matters, man. What matters is how good you play and how great you want to be. And you can be fine here. This is not Siberia. This is a fine place, and you're going to have adoring fans and all that stuff that you want. And you can have an opportunity to make a mark, because the outside of Marketing, if he's still here, there's no clear-cut pecking order. So go grab that second spot if Marketing stays, in terms of being the player you want to be and the FGAs that you want and the focal points of the offense. And you're going to be a rookie, and very few rookies get that everything thrown to them or handed to them. But you can earn everything you want right here. What more could you want?
Second round of the NBA draft starts tonight at 6 o'clock. The Jazz have the 43rd overall pick. They did originally have 2 second-round picks there. They did as of yesterday at this time. But they put that in the trade to move up and get Walter Clayton Jr. Ben Anderson, Chandler Holt covering the action here on The Zone this evening, starting at 6 o'clock. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
With the first pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University. With the 8th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Egor Demin from Moscow and Brigham Young University.
The former Cougar goes to Brooklyn with the 8th pick. You can hear the oh in the audience there. Was that the first truly surprising pick in this draft? I don't know that everybody knew Concanepa was going to go fourth, but there were a lot of mock drafts that had him there. Maybe that's a mild surprise at best.
Well, as I tweeted out, those who knew, they knew. So I guess
Travis Hansen came on our show and said he's going to go between 7 and 12.
I've talked to Travis 20 times. Yeah. I always felt that this kid was going to be drafted much higher than we anticipated. I said it for weeks. I didn't care about his shot and go look at some stat, and that's what determines where he is and who he is. That's ridiculous. Talked to Steve Cleveland. He was on the air. Said, come on, the kid had to make a massive adjustment. You don't have to make a massive adjustment to the NBA. But it's not about what you can't do. It's about what you can do. And he's got a lot of things that he can do. And he's got a lot of opportunity to get better. So I suppose the sound and people were surprised. But I wasn't. I didn't know that where he would go. But I felt he would go very legitimately in the top 10. And he did. So I'm not surprised at all.
Suns traded for Hornets center Mark Williams and also draft Maloch. So the rebuild is on in Phoenix.
Yeah, I thought that was good. That's what they needed. They didn't have any big men. And come on, Maloch is they got to be ecstatic. I think him falling to 10 is a little bit of a surprise, but Phoenix can take advantage of it. I mean, there's been nothing but bad news for them for like the last 2 or 3 years. And we'll see how he develops. There's no guarantee that he turns into a player either. But it looks like on paper, again, as it does with the Jazz, that they got the guy that they needed. Not just wanted, but they needed.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NFL.
Patriots owner Robert Kraft said the last 2 years were the worst of my 31 years of ownership. And he vows the franchise would turn around with Mike Vrabel in place as their head coach. Rode it to the top of the league, at the top of the league, finding out how the rest of the league lives. Didn't have fun.
Yeah, but that was predictable.
Longtime NFL wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. has been hinting at wanting to continue his playing career. His release last December, Miami. He's 32 years old. Does somebody want him as a backup reserve role? It's a familiar story, isn't it? Father time, undefeated, wide receiver at 32, looking for work.
I hope he gets it.
DJ PK.
Hashtag college football.
Realignment continues. Texas state officials have informed the Sun Belt Conference they're expecting an offer from the Pac-12 in the near future. They would be the 8th school in the league, and Utah Tech and Southern Utah announced that they will be joining the Big Sky Conference next July, ending their brief run together in the WAC. And they played football in the United Athletic Conference. They will be teams 10 and 11 in the Big Sky, and there'll be 13 teams for football with Davis and Cal Poly. So Utah Tech and Southern Utah making the move together and joining Weber State. Surprised by any of this? Or it's realignment and it's always happening, and hey, they're in a regional league, good for them.
Well, I think the 2 teams in the state should be in that conference. Yeah, I mean, this is the side of the country that most of them are in, and That's the level of football that they play. So yeah, it seems like a natural home.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
3-2 pitch. And he got him looking with a slider. Jacob Mizorowski, his 8th strikeout of this game. And about as fired up as you'll see him running back into that first base dugout.
High fly ball, right center field. Harris on the run. He's at the track, at the wall, leaps, and it is gone. 2-homer night for Soto. A carbon copy shot.
And once he swings, it's a drive. Deep right field. Way back. It is gone. Max Muncy with a grand slam. His second one this week.
And Ramirez swings and lines it to left. Base hit. Ball game. Jose Ramirez laces one down the left field line. Scoring Angel Martinez with a game winner.
Highlights from Major League Baseball, the battle of young pitching phenoms, the potential Rookie of the Year, Jacob Mizorowski outdueling the potential Cy Young Award winner, Paul Skeens. Brewers topped the Pirates 4-2. Mizorowski only giving up a couple of hits, struck out 8. Not the best pitching performance of the night, a good one, and the best one of the night, Jacob deGrom. Flirting with a perfect game, a no-hitter, 7th inning. He had it going, but leading off the 8th, he gave up the single. Ended up giving up a hit and 2 walks, and the Rangers beat the Orioles 7-0. Is pitching contagious across the league? A lot of low-scoring games and shutouts last night. Hitting's contagious in a dugout. I don't know about pitching across the league.
No, I don't think that.
Astros 2-0 over the Phillies. Padres 1-0 over the Nationals. Low-scoring duels there. And the Bees lost 6-2 to the Reno Aces. Back on the air tonight, Tony Park, 7:20 here on The Zone. DJ and PK.
Hashtag golf.
PGA Tours in Detroit, Rocket Classic. Patrick Fishburne, the lone local in the field this week. Guys are starting to adjust their schedule now after a major championship and a big money payday. Take your time off, go over to Europe, play a little there if you want, because the Open Championship looms in July.
They do.
DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Huck will take it, fire ahead. Here's a 2-on-1. Byram has Peterka. Got the pass there, and they score! J.J. Peterka back in the lineup as Buffalo responds immediately and restores the 2-goal lead. Peterka behind the D. J.J. Peterka from an angle. Cuts to the net and scores!
Utah Mammoth with a big trade last night. Buffalo Sabres standout J.J. Peterka. Coming to Utah in exchange for Michael Kesselring and Josh Doan. Peterka's 23 years old. He had 68 points this past season. He's got a 5-year contract extension worth $38.5 million. So the future at 23, pretty young there, PK. Now, they do give up a pretty good defender in Kesselring, who had some real size at 6'4" and was only 24 years old himself. But they're bringing in the big guys from the KHL, and I guess Boot needs somewhere to play, so moving Kesselring will open time for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't dismiss Josh Doan either. I mean, he was actually picked way higher than Kesselring was. 37th, I think it was, something like that.
Points out the family legacy.
Of course, yeah. I mean, that was in Phoenix, though, and where'd they come from? Winnipeg?
Correct.
Yeah, not so much here. But if you add up everything that JJ did last year, he would rank in the top 3 of the team. He matched Gunther's goal total. His assist total beat Cooley by 1. Keller obviously had more goals, but he could fit right in, and he's still young. I mean, they didn't get any older with this.
Nope, they did not. They did not. It was all young players in the deal.
Yeah.
Edmonton Oilers traded veteran forward Evander Kane to the Vancouver Canucks for a 4th-round pick. Kane is 33, entering the final season of his contract and looking to regain his former star form. And the NHL pondering moving the regular season from 82 games to 84. They're in collective bargaining talks with the NHL Players Association.
Compromise, go 83.
I don't think that'll happen. The league's been considering scheduling alternatives after some franchises complained about an imbalanced number of division games, which tend to be against the rivals that typically draw larger crowds and bigger TV audiences. So, a couple more games, so you're playing all your division rivals more often. That is what is trending, brought to you by Shamrock Plumbing. There's no job too big or too small. Get the personal touch with Shamrock Plumbing. Coming up, Travis Hansen is going to join us next, former BYU basketball star and Atlanta Hawks draftee, and we will talk about Egor Demin and the NBA draft with Travis. Stephen Ellis, prospects analyst for the Daily Face-Off at 8 o'clock. And we'll hear from Austin Ainge at 8:30, the Jazz president of basketball operations. DJ and PK. It's Win Tickets Wednesday, caller 12. We're going to do a Win Tickets Wednesday on Thursday?
I screwed that up.
You got bonus tickets to give away?
Yes.
That's your point. It's a Win Tickets Wednesday on a Thursday, people. X Games, Salt Lake City tomorrow, including access to tomorrow night's concert featuring Deadmau5. So look forward to that. We'll give those tickets away. Bonus tickets coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Athletics are funny that way. I've always said this. Not only does it attract people from all sorts of different backgrounds, but all sorts of different intelligence levels, different emotionally intelligence levels, like all those things. Like, I don't know how coaches do it, honestly.
This is going to sound mean because it's certainly not the case. There are legitimate savants, can think everything with the game, and then aren't super intelligent off the floor and struggle off the floor. And that's quite common.
It's so applicable, though, to life. I mean, Elton John just sat down and played the piano. I think in person you can really tell the difference between not intelligent and maybe just public speaking isn't my first way of communicating. But then you can see people as just like, okay, this dude's just a dim bulb. And as a dim bulb myself, I feel like we can really sniff out each other. You know what I mean?
Spider sense tingles when you get around each other.
This guy's faking it just like me.
Hear Jake Scott and Ben Anderson every day from 10 to noon on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Join Hansen, Scotty G today from noon to 3 at My Hearing Centers, 8941 South, 700 East in Sandy. DJ and PK, we're joined now by Travis Hansen, former BYU basketball star and Atlanta Hawks draftee, mentor to Egor Demin. Travis, good morning.
Good morning from New York City.
The Big Apple, baby. You know, Travis, you're a lot of things. You know, you're a former star basketball player. You're a businessman. You know what else you are? You are a great source. You came on the air and said Egor Demin to get drafted somewhere between 7 and 12. And bingo, at number 8, there he goes. You are an awesome source. Good work.
Sometimes you get lucky. You hang out with DJ and PK enough, listen to your show, and you start to, formulate some pretty good truths of life.
So what was the feel as far as having an idea when, as the draft had begun? Was it a total surprise, or did you have a decent idea?
Well, you watched, and we're in constant communication with some of the teams, and so you just see and the personnel and the general managers, and you kind of have a feel for who they're going to choose. But as soon as a few dominoes fell, we knew we were right there with, Con Knippel and Egor. Brooklyn really liked both of them. So once Con went 4, we knew we had a real chance to go to Brooklyn. And it's really interesting. You're sitting there at the table, and Kevin Young was saying how he has such a different perspective being on this side of how stressful it could be for you and your family. You're sitting there, and everyone starts to get picked, and you aren't yet. And so I think he grew some empathy last night for the families and what they deal with in the draftees. But at some point, we got a text from Brooklyn that said, "He's ours." And we all got chills. Egor went straight Russian mode because he had no expression on his face, and I did, man. Like other people were like, we knew he was going to get chose because we saw Travis's face smiling, and I couldn't keep it in. I was so excited for him. That was Brooklyn is one of the top 3 places we wanted to go.
For all of us who've never been involved in a draft, we're always curious what's going on behind the scenes. At some point, you get a text. give us a ballpark. Do they know who's getting picked at 6 and 7? They know that early, or is it just like 4 minutes before it's announced? How much of a heads up do you get?
Oh, you're talking 60 to 60 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe a minute or two. Not much time at all.
And you say that you wanted him to go there for what reasons?
We like Brooklyn. We like the owner. Joe's amazing. We like Sean Marks. He's a New Zealand guy, played international ball. He's a great human. We had the same agent throughout our careers. Drew Nicholas is a former teammate. He runs the director of scouting over there, and he's come out numerous times to BYU. I've gotten to spend time with him. Egor worked out for Brooklyn 3 times, and so we knew that they loved his type of skill set, that it was very rare to find, and there's an amazing Russian community here.
Yeah.
There's a ton of Russian markets and Russian grocery stores, and we knew that he would fit in well.
Then he doesn't have to get on a plane to go to the new team. He can just walk.
We were going to the practice facility this morning. We get some shots up. So yeah, he was extremely excited, and they were sending us videos from back home, Moscow, Russia. They had like 2,000 people in a bar at 4 a.m. in the morning, all going crazy. So the kid has a ton of support, and I think Brooklyn. There's a reason. There's a top 3 choice for us. It's just fit, style of play, ownership, GMs, and just an alignment all the way up to the top that we knew he would get taken care of. Kevin Young's one of his former co-workers is the director of development, skill development. So we're talking about that last night, and so Egor's actually going to go get a workout in this morning.
Depending on who's running the Utah Jazz, there is either a lot or very little transparency around the draft, and when they have been pretty open about it, it seems rare that guys have come in for a second workout. Carlos Boozer famously did come in for a second workout. It was a big deal at the time. You just said Egor worked out 3 times. What were the Nets looking at and debating about him? What did they want to see? Because that seems like a lot of workouts.
Yeah, they start to narrow in you versus somebody else. And so then they start to really dial in on your strength versus their weakness, or vice versa. And so they were looking at, how his foot speed in one-on-one play, or how he played 3-on-3 or 2-on-2, or his defense. And so they'll bring you in and do a variety of different tests on each workout and basically dial in more. They love the interviews. They spend a lot more time with him. Funny enough, Sam Presti was actually the only one out of all the GMs that had him over to his house. So OKC was very active last night, trying to pursue Egor, I know. I thought the Jazz were going to pick Jeremiah Fears because they talked a lot about him and had Jeremiah in for multiple workouts, and I think Ace Bailey slid and they were able to pick him up. I'll tell you what, Ace Bailey and his family weren't very happy. They were in the table next to us. It was funny to watch.
Yeah, and there had been talk about that, about where he wanted to go and not go and all that, but none of that matters anymore as far as that goes. I mean, I'm sure you've been around guys, and here's the most recent example that he didn't necessarily want to go here, but big deal. Now you got to go to work, right? I mean, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I think there's some truth to that, PK, but there's also truth to, I'm not going to hire someone that doesn't want to be in one of my companies. I mean, why would I ever do that? I want people that want to be here and are going to be engaged in the community and are going to, love you and be grateful for the opportunity. And I mean, look how pumped we are about Brooklyn. I mean, We did the complete opposite. As soon as he was picked, whoever that would have been, we had places we didn't want to go confidentially. And so as soon as he got picked, we're all in and it's go mode. So
right, that's my point.
There's a debate both ways.
But that's my point, though. This happens every year. There's guys who want to go to XYZ and guys who don't want to go to XYZ, but you have no control over it. And Ace Bailey's big thing, the stuff that he's been saying the last couple of days is in the interviews, control what you can control. All right, you can't control this. What you can control is go work your butt off.
100%. Yep, and get better and be grateful for the opportunity because it does go by so fast. And it's been an incredible experience. I mean, since landing here, having lunch with, Adam Silver, commissioner, and Andre Iguodala, and seeing the resources of the Players Association. I mean, Andre Iguodala was talking about how in the history of the NBA, 80 years, whatever it is, there's only been a total of 5,000 players to ever play, and what a small community it really is, and what a brotherhood it is, and so I'm happy that Egor is part of it, and that he can get to work here in Brooklyn.
Travis Hansen joining us from New York. You going to be this involved with AJ DeBonsa next year, or is this a one-off draft experience for you?
Oh, what are you talking about? I'm going to come join DJ and PK.
Okay.
DJ PK TH. No, that doesn't sound good. Dang it. Something.
No, 8 Mile. That's who you are.
Yeah. No, grateful to be part of the process. I think Egor and his family are rare. We just connected it really early on, and sometimes you just click with people. We call them PLUs, people like us, and so sometimes these opportunities come along and you get to mentor. I mean, it's been fun. The last 2 weeks, other kids have reached out, players, Dawson Baker and Richie Saunders and Kaba and Trevor Nell, So as players reach out, you try to do your best to help them, and Egor has been, one of those opportunities that just keeps giving because, he needs the help, and hopefully we're able to provide him with some good mentorship and guidance throughout this process. So as a team, we went to dinner last night, and I don't know what time we got home, but I think Egor has an incredible team around him, and if you guys were able to meet him, you'd be pretty impressed by the people he has.
And I'm wondering going forward then, because you have been integral, but you've been right down the street also, and obviously he could come over and you could have face contact pretty much any time you wanted. Now he's going to be on the other side of the country. Again, a foreign kid has to make another massive adjustment in his life. Not just ball playing is probably the easiest part of it, but all the other stuff that this kid has had to go through in several years. It's just amazing, at his age, that he has had these massive cultural adjustments. And going from, I grew up my first 14 years just across the water there in New Jersey, and it was a little bit of an adjustment for me to come to Utah, and I was much older. It was a massive adjustment when I moved to Arizona when I was 14 years old. And I'm wondering, how can you help him being in Utah with him being in New York?
Well, the good thing about playing for BYU, which is really, really rare, is, lots of players leave their university and they're kind of done. And there's some, summer leagues, summer camps, sports camps, and some connections, and if they're ever in that city, they go back. But BYU is not like that. Cougar Nation is all over the world and it's global. And so we've already had local people reach out that will love him, and he'll be part of a family. And that's unique. That's something that comes from playing at BYU that not many other schools have. The other piece is, we're not always face to face. Even when he was at Real Madrid or back in Moscow, Russia, we were on WhatsApp and Zooms and trying to guide him. And we'll come out here to Brooklyn a lot. So the good thing about Egor is he's going to find a place right next to the practice facility, and he needs to keep doing his schooling. He keeps trying to say, have other plans, and he needs education is important, and surround himself with wealth management and some attorneys that we're working on. But in reality, compared to what he's done previously, Real Madrid, he was in 6 hours of school every day. Real Madrid is a club that, that pushes you educationally just as much as they do basketball. And so you have limited time on the court at Real Madrid. BYU is the same. Due to the NCAA rules, you have limited time you could actually play the game you love, and you got other responsibilities. And then in the NBA, you don't. There's some appearances and some other things that you're obligated to do, but it's not much time. And so you can really, and you see this with kids that come out of college and go to the NBA, they really improve dramatically. If you're around really good players and have good development, it's amazing how fast they improve. And so it'll be fun to watch over the next year or two as he can really focus on his game and be around great players.
One thing he needs to do is get to know the teammates and get used to playing with those guys. They had 5 first-round draft picks. Do you have any idea what kind of summer they're going to have and what the roster is going to look like? And are they going forward with a lot of youth? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're in development build mode, right? So, and they've accumulated a ton of draft picks, and so, they're actively working on a few trades. They're working on putting their summer league schedule together. I mean, Egor will be here, less than a week, and all of a sudden he starts playing games, and then he'll play games through July with the summer league, and then he'll finally get back, be able to come back to Utah and hang out. But yeah, Brooklyn's in that young development mode. It's exactly where we want him to be. They're going to be patient with him, and they're going to push him, and he's going to have an opportunity to shine. So, I don't know if there could have been a better fit. We definitely liked OKC, but Brooklyn's perfect for him.
I think this is important for BYU and Kevin Young too, because when the season started, you have mock drafts right off the bat, and you saw Egor's name was very high there, and I think it would have been a bad look if he dropped, say, from 8 to 18 or whatever, and it turns out that he doesn't. And so the message is that Kevin Young has been preaching, come here, I will develop you for the league. And right off the bat, he takes somebody who was expected to be a lottery pick and then, had his struggles a little bit and dropped. But in the end, he's right back to where he said or he was supposed to go, basically, and where Kevin Young has been talking about this is what we can do. So my point and the question is how big of a deal it is for BYU, Kevin Young, right off the bat, take a special talent and put him in a position to be right where he's supposed to be draft-wise.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think that piece is critical, and I think we'll see a lot more of that story unfold as Egor enters the NBA. So a couple examples. He's at a team, NBA team. He's working out, and it's Atlanta. He does a film session, and his terminology and his understanding of the NBA game. And Quinn Snyder gave him a play, said, "How would you change this?" And he equated it to what he was doing at BYU with the same terminology. And at the end, Quinn called us, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to implement that. That was crazy. Like, I'm an X and O guy, but Egor really knows the game, and he was able to, make an adjustment." So that's what KY does. He brings this NBA perspective, terminology, and know-how, and injects it in these kids really early on, and you don't have to wait till your rookie year in the NBA to learn that. And so that's been impressive. It's also impressive that every workout Egor went to, they all said, "Hey, tell KY hi. Hey, I love KY." That's cool. That's different. And so, yeah, I think this is the beginning of a pretty cool era at BYU when you have, mentors or coaches or trainers that have been there and done that. It definitely helps you accelerate your learning and put you in different positions and opportunities you wouldn't have. And so hopefully that's, this is the first of many to come, but a Egor, AJ, Richie, Rob, Wright, Kaba, getting all these guys in the league and whoever else we can place, those will be fun challenges and opportunities for these kids.
Well, Travis, we appreciate some time this morning with all your duties and responsibilities in the Big Apple. Go light New York up.
You guys are the best. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Travis. Travis Hansen, former BYU basketball star and Atlanta Hawks draftee. OKC trying to trade up. None of those teams, I guess, wanted to give up that pick. And there was Brooklyn at number 8. So Egor has a home. Yeah. I guess don't underestimate a big Russian community in New York. That ought to help.
Actually,
that ought to help.
New York has a big whatever.
Big whatever because there's so many people.
The highest concentration of Russian expats in the Western Hemisphere is in Brooklyn, New York.
No, you can't go anywhere without a vodka store. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying, comrades?
A place called Brighton Beach, apparently.
Oh, Brighton Beach. And that's with a Y.
They call it what?
Look it up. B-R-Y.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But he's been making adjustments this whole time. This is an amazing story. And to see him do what he did, to go that high, what a dream come true for BYU and for Kevin Young and for Travis and for the player himself and all the stuff. The thing that a little bit of an eyebrow raiser is he's sitting next to the Ace Bailey family, and
they weren't thrilled.
Oh, yeah. And Travis is a Ryan Smith's guy.
Yeah.
But you know, he saw it. And he's sitting right next to him. We got eyewitnesses on the ground for you people. I mean, our show. I mean, I think our show, the best is yet to come.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Stephen Ellis, prospects analyst for the Daily Face-Off at 8 o'clock. Austin Ainge's comments last night. We'll play them for you coming up at 8:30. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone.
Accessing. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G.
BYU jumped into the Big 12 for their own game, and they're going to get theirs. And they got their money together, and they got the recruiting together, and they came in all cute and happy, like, we're just grateful to be a partner. Oh, our broadcast, we're one of two in this country that can run our own broadcast. Hey, we'll be cool with it. Whatever bone you can throw us. And, what's that? 4 years integration to full revenue? Okay, that's fine, whatever. And then it's like, bam, we're going to take the number one recruits. We're going to sign 5 stars. We're going to get in the game with money, and we're going to compete. We're going to go from a 13th pick to the number 3 team in the Big 12, and we're here to make this nasty. So what do you know about Amway? Can I sign you up, or what?
Can I get 3 people under you, and let's all make some money?
Because I'm looking for diamond status. I'm here to freaking compete.
Catch Hansen Scotty weekdays from noon to 3 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Band of the day, today's One Republic is from, and Ryan Tedder celebrates his 46th birthday. It's brought to you by Live Nation. For all the live concerts events in 2025, check out livenation.com. Got reaction pouring in here to the NBA draft. Ace Bailey it is. Here's your chance to sound off.
Hey, Ace, this is the place.
Jeffrey says they call it a draft for a reason. I'm thinking when the paycheck clears, he'll change his attitude.
What does that mean? They call it a draft for a reason? That's
you
chilly.
You got to go. You got to go where you're told.
Go where you want to go. Sure. For now.
Jaden says, I don't think his skill was good enough to go with his baggage. Phil Johnson or Fears would be better options. Bailey's high risk, high reward option. He's young and hopefully he can grow up and mature quickly. I'd love to be wrong and have him be a great choice.
Did you say Phil Johnson?
No. I feel Johnson or Fears
you said
would be better options.
It sounded like you said Phil Johnson. I'm like, that's a poll.
No. I feel Johnson or Fears would be better
Trey
options.
Johnson. Yeah, there you go.
Brad says, I'm psyched. Jeremy applauds it. Good pick. So there's some people on board, as I think you would expect.
Well, I think they had to draft him.
Too much talent, you can't keep letting him fall.
Right. If you're going to miss on somebody, miss on him.
Miss on someone with a high ceiling.
Yeah, because if he doesn't turn out to what people anticipate, well, maybe he could be a level below that, which could still possibly be pretty good. Say he doesn't end up being, well, we thought he was going to go third, and we've been talking about the trio all college basketball season of his teammate over there at Rutgers and Cooper Flagg, right? And then that was the big 3. And so if he's not quite of that level, but still can do some different things for you and help you win games, okay. So I felt like they would have gone for Fears if they didn't get Bailey. But if Bailey became available it was like they really had no choice. So I'm not surprised at all. And then what they do is they turn around and they get their fears-like player in Clayton. And the thing that I liked that I said, and I told Ben and Jake they could use this line because I'm about helping and propping up other guys on the shows. I said, hey, they didn't get fears, but they got fearless.
Yeah.
That's good.
This kid is fearless.
Feels like an old newspaper headline right there. You're still writing them.
Define newspaper.
Well, back in the day, Grandpa, there was this thing that you would find in your driveway when you woke up.
Yeah.
Bold face type font.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
No fears, but fearless.
When I got the gig in 02, I called my father, and I was super excited. First words out of his mouth, "You're not going to quit the newspaper, are you?"
Not for 5 years, Dad.
No, I didn't know that. And he said, "I don't know anything about this radio stuff, but I know all my life that newspaper has been on my doorstep every morning." And he was an ardent newspaper reader. When we lived in Jersey, we were 3. He'd get the Star Ledger. There was a local paper, Morris County Daily Record, which I delivered. And then he'd bring home one of the New York papers because, we're only 30 miles away from the city.
Right.
And so, so I grew. That's how I learned to read, was reading sports sections. No joke.
Yeah, me too.
So, but you only read one. I read 3.
I did only read one.
Yeah, I read 3. So don't try to put yourself in my category. And plus, you were smarter. I was in the dumb class for 8 freaking years.
Read the San Diego Union. Didn't read the Evening Tribune.
Which, when I showed you my 401k that I got from them,
that was awesome.
You were all surprised.
I was.
and I had
Copley family of newspapers.
I had forgotten about the 401k that I had for them, so that was a nice little bonus. We slipped in there and send it on its way to more, hopefully, development. But this Ace Bailey thing, it's a reality, and I think the Jazz know it. Of course they know it. He had to have known
that this might happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was hoping it wouldn't, but he had to know. But the plan was working. Philly didn't take him. Charlotte didn't take him.
Yeah,
and
how
then
long were you
depending
gonna say?
on what you believe, did he want to go to Washington or was it New Orleans? How many more teams was he hoping would hold out?
But they weren't. There was no way the Jazz. You can go back. I wrote about it. I said if it comes down to Fears or Bailey, they're going to go Bailey. Yeah. If Bailey's gone, I thought they would go Fears. But he was not gone, so they go Bailey. And that's why I thought the Caleb Williams story was a big non-story with he didn't want to go to the Bears. This happens every year.
Everybody tries to guide the process, and then you end up where you end up, and you have to make the best of it.
You want to go where you create destinations. So what? He'll make more money this way than dropping 6, 7, and 8 because there's a sliding scale.
There was a time when you thought they were cooling on him. Do you think that's the difference between Danny, and that was when Danny before Austin, or do you think that's head fakes in public and, hey, let's throw that out there and little misdirection?
I think they thought he wasn't the 3rd pick. But as it became apparent that there was a good chance he was going to slide.
And they were drafting 5.
Yeah. They pivoted because the circumstances pivoted. They didn't want to give assets to Philly to move up like they did with Clayton. Now, obviously, if you're moving from 21 to 18, you're giving up fewer assets than if you move up to 3.
But and it's a different club, and Philly has their price tag, whatever it is.
Right. So that's what I think. And Austin had the chance to interview Ace personally when he was still employed by the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
And he talked about that.
Yeah.
And we'll play that here at the bottom of the hour. And so all those things led to they made an adjustment. Now he's going to have to make an adjustment. You got the world by the tail, son. Don't pout on us here because you didn't go to someplace. Whatever you wanted out of Washington, you can get here.
DJ PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Stephen Ellis, prospects analyst for the Daily Face-Off. Coming up after the break, Austin Ainge, Jazz president of basketball operations. You'll hear his post-draft comments at 8:30. Stay with us right here on The Zone.